Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, and we're still in the round of 12. It's going to be Zest going up against soO next to figure out who's going to be able to move on to play against Serral. I know that a lot of people are going to be looking forward to that later on in the day. Joining me, DeMuslim and Rotterdam. Guys, Zest versus soO. Zest plays these matches with a blank face, doesn't really look like anything phases him. How is he going to fare here going up against soO?
That's the big question, right? Like, these guys are two juggernauts of the Korean scene. I remember back in the Pro League days, Zest was the flagship of KT, soO the flagship of SC2. They would meet in ace matches and such all the time. It was great. And they met in GSLs as well, where Zest used to, well, given that soO's never won a GSL, Zest did win those matches. But this is very close between them because Zest had a pretty darn good group stage day. Like, he came second in his group, looked pretty strong. Maybe could have even beat StarCraft II, whereas soO went down 0-3. We saw that clip of him shaking his head at himself, like looking very sad, but he bounced back. And with that bounce back, like this redemption, maybe we're going to see some new, fresh soO here.
Maybe.
Yeah, soO's run has been very interesting because he did qualify through the offline qualifiers that we have here, but even that wasn't super convincing. I mean, he beat a Marine Lord, he beat Kalazur, I believe, in the second round, and then he played one Korean player, Hurricane, and he did take a 2-1 victory over Hurricane, but I don't think there's anyone out there that would say Hurricane is on the same level as Zest. Zest is a much bigger name, much more successful. And then in the group stage that we saw yesterday, soO didn't beat any of the Koreans. The only ones that soO did beat were Scarlet and Uthermal. So it's actually kind of bizarre to think that soO has made it this far while only beating one Korean player up to this point. Because normally, if you want to make it into the round of 12 of Katowice, you need to beat at least 3 or 4. So soO's run has been shaky. I agree with what Ben said. Zest has looked a lot more solid so far.
And Dia relatively trounced soO in the group stage with that 2-0 that came in. Final thoughts, Roddy, kind of before we go to the match and figure out how things are going to shape up?
Well, it's funny because they do have a big history, and Zest, of course, took down soO in that GSL final. That was actually the very first final that soO ever made it to. But the funny thing is that in a lot of the Korean competitions, and I guess maybe here too to some degree, the difference between first and second place in prize money is massive. And it actually boils down to the point where if soO, where it went to Game 7, guys, soO lost 3-4 against Zest. But if he would have won that final versus Zest, he would have made more money than he did in the end by making 5 finals in a row, but 5 times finishing second place. So if I'm soO, I'd be very, very eager to finally get my revenge for that one big loss. But it's actually been historically pretty damn close between these two.
Yeah, it definitely has. Thank you very much, guys. I can get your thoughts after the match has concluded. As for now, it's time to head over to the main stage. We're going to have soO going up against Zest. Let's see if Zest can make his path clear here to a potential 2 times Intel Extreme Masters Katowice champion.
In our first match of the day, we saw the Prince of IEM move forward to that round of 8. And for our next match, we have 2 of the most successful StarCraft II players of all time with a combined total of 20 grand final finishes. Please welcome on stage, it is Zest and soO.
Oh, g'day guys. Sorry, we just had to pull away. We were getting sucked into Zest's eyes there for a second. It's hard to break away.
He's so dreamy, Maynard.
So dreamy.
Oh my. And his Protoss play is also very good.
He's also all right at the video game. Yes, friends, Maynard and Pig here, and we have got ourselves some CVP action in the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice round of 12 with Zest going up against soO. soO just scraping through Group D in the end there.
Yeah, starting out with 2 losses in the group stage. It was like, oh, there's no way he's making out of this. That's sad. But soO ends up rallying it together, delivering at the tail end of yesterday, and did barely make it out of that group, of course, on map score. So good to see him here, having another chance, another revival. And, you know, I think it's not a bad match for soO going up against Zest in PvZ.
I think the wonderful thing is obviously making it this far. You get a lot more money. You have an extra life in the tournament. But I actually think that this is a matchup where if I had to bet money, I would put it on soO. I think that he's really, really deadly in this matchup. He already showed against Hurricane that he's very, very strong in it. Whereas Zest has pretty much just shown us, for the most part, PvP and PvT. For the most part, his PvP is clearly his strength. He's extremely good at the matchup.
Yeah.
PvZ for me, for Zest, is a little bit of a question mark.
Yeah, it's always been the matchup which Zest has underperformed in a little bit. We can see, certain games pop into my mind of him getting into a decent position in the late game and then kind of getting a little bit overwhelmed with like the Tempest kind of Oracle Storm army and that sort of thing. There's times where we hear about the infamous Zest float as well, where he does get a little bit distracted by his harassment and what's going on and does stack up those minerals a little bit in this matchup specifically. That being said, Zest has very tight opening build orders. He has a controlling playstyle, where as long as he's dictating the pace of the game, he is in good stead. So the first 4-5 minutes of the game, for me, this is crucial. That's what I'm watching. If Zest can, if he does something looking to get aggression like a proxy Oracle, he's got to get quite a bit of damage with it. He's got to keep his adapts alive, get drone kills where he can. If he, say, loses an Archon out of a Warp Prism Archon drop early on, I feel like soO is going to run away with this game so damn quickly.
Yeah, soO is one of those players that when he smells blood in the water, he will go for it. Why make the game go longer if he doesn't have to? His late game, while it's pretty strong, isn't what I would say is his strength. And for me, soO's strength has always been his decision-making, his ability to see weakness in his opponent and then capitalize upon it within a split second.
Absolutely. He has been known for those big Roach Hydra attacks. Lots of different styles, of course, coming out. We've seen drop play is something that's been a big factor in Legacy of the Void, and the new kind of proponent of that is not only players going for drops, we still see that a few times in this tournament, but the Nidus Worm, sometimes even used in conjunction with that, a great way of repositioning around the map. So we're going to have to see if soO is going to take advantage of some of that. It is going to be a quick 2-minute delay here while the players are just kind of getting everything set up and making sure the settings are absolutely perfect. Of course, this is one of those things, one of the skills. These guys have played so many tournaments at different events, different venues, different setups. They are so good at getting set up. But once in a while, there's like that weird setting with like Windows mouse setting or something like that that is just slightly off. You got to get it perfect before you get into game.
Yeah, I think soO might be having some sound issues. It looked like he was waving like he couldn't hear or something like that. But regardless what the issue is, we want perfect conditions here on stage for these players. This is all on the line, single elimination, best of 5. Neither player is any slouch. No one lucked their way into this bracket. They deserve to be here. They're incredibly good, and they need optimal conditions to play their best here. And we don't expect anything else as the fans of the game, the community of the game. We want to see good, high-level StarCraft, and so do you guys out there in the crowd. What's up, Katowice? Good to see you again.
Zest is best. Filling up, as always, nice and early here. So many passionate fans from Poland and all around Europe. Quite a few people going on some road trips to get down here to see these players in action. And I mean, is there any better tournament to come out to? Doesn't matter who you're a fan of, they're going to be playing at IEM Katowice. Every single top pro player is here just about.
Certainly. There's even some Australians here just as fans. And as we know, it's a bit of a trip.
Yeah, just a little bit of a trek to the opposite side of the planet. But the passion for StarCraft fuels all journeys. And, this is what we're here for. It's, of course, Zest vs soO. It's a big match. I do want to say, a little bit unfortunate, the special prize you get for winning this match is to play Serral.
Yeah. Congratulations. Welcome to the round of 8. You now have the God King. Good luck and have fun.
It's a tough follow-up to that, of course. We are going to be playing through the entire round of 12 and round of 8 today. So it's an awesome, action-packed day. 7 more best of 5s, including this one, to go. And, of course, TY on the lower end of this bracket. Names like Neeb and Ragnarok. Solar going to be coming out later. Stats, Dark, and Serral waiting in that round of 8, of course. Deer receiving Hero will be the first match we play later on this evening.
Looks like both players got their headsets on, hands on the mouse and keyboard, so we shouldn't be too far off. So it sounds like 30 seconds, production is telling us, which is good, because that's not long at all.
That's not long at all.
That's enough time for me to say that I'm obviously very, very excited about this series because we're commentating it, but I'm also really excited and just out of sheer curiosity what Neeb Ragnarok looks like. Does Ragnarok's run continue or does Neeb shut him down? Because Neeb looks so good against Lambo in that PvC. Lambo hitting 3 different spots at once. That's not supposed to be a possible hold, Neeb. But somehow he held because he's just, he's a god.
So many big names and so many action-packed matches coming up. But here, right now, it's Protoss versus Zerg. Zest, the god of Protoss versus Protoss, dominating his group there, winning so many PvP matches, only falling to stats. He's looked so good, but he has not had a chance to show his Protoss versus Zerg just yet.
We're in it, guys. Game 1 has begun. And the top left here, the blue Protoss. This is Zest. All right, cameraman, let's not get too close. Dangerously close here.
And down here in the bottom right-hand side of the map, everybody's favorite contender, the red Zerg player representing Chivo Esports. He is soO.
This is gonna be a good one. Cyber Forest, the shortest rush distance in the map pool currently. A lot of big, a lot of big timing attacks with roaches is what I've been seeing a lot in ZVP lately, at least outside of Korea. And Mr. Counterattacks himself, Cyril and Raynor, of course, like to make sure that they have Lings nestled to the high ground on the right so they can slide into that natural when the Protoss isn't looking.
Yeah, there's been some nasty plays coming out. Here on Cyber Forest, of course, one of the shorter rush distance maps, we saw Scarlet dominate Deer yesterday with some Swarm Host play on this map because of that short rush distance. So definitely one of the things we're keeping in the back of our minds. And we are very much aware of course, soO. He did lose 0-2 to Deer yesterday to some sharp timing attacks. So soO's got to be really, kind of just keeping an eye on what's going on. Very curious to see if it's his typical Roach Hydra that he loves so much or if he maybe ventures out into the Hydra Bane territory, the Lurker territory.
He was showing off some roaches against Deer and not finding a whole lot of purchase with them, unfortunately. It's not really a compositional thing, of course. Roaches have their place in the matchup. It's more about how you use them. It's not the size of the composition, Pig, it's how you use it.
Absolutely. The timing it comes out, the window you can hit, take advantage of those weaknesses in your opponent's composition as well. And this quick third hatch, it's in the meta. Again, every single player seems to be doing it right now, that quick third base, getting up the production. And of course, the Zerg builds the Queen from the natural expansion first, as that's where you want your lava injects to be landing, your creep tumors to be spreading from, nice and close to the action. And delaying the Overlord, but not just that, also delaying Zergling speed. So we've seen a lot of Zergs becoming willing to delay it by a few seconds. In this case, that's a lot of seconds, Maynard.
It certainly is.
150 gas for soO, and then he starts link speed. Okay.
All right, okay.
Interesting.
A little bit of shakiness in game 1. I'm not too sure if it was delivered or not, but we are seeing a Robo opening here from Zest. Not going for the tried and true 2 Adepts into a Stargate opening. In fact, he's going Adept into Stalker here. With the Robo, this generally means a little bit of aggression, right? You don't get the Robo just to sit at home with making observers.
Yeah, usually you are going to be getting out a Prism. You obviously have Immortals there, and you can do really powerful, even just old school, like 5-6 gain attacks with a Prism, a single Immortal. So there are some sharp timing attacks that you can push out with off this. It is going to be Warp Prism first to begin. So even just the Adept drop, remember, I think it was Hero who pioneered that in GSL, where it was like, look, there's a Warp Prism, panic, panic. And it's like, no, it's just 2 Adepts, pick off a drone, go out of the base, go drop somewhere else, pick off a drone. Like the lightest possible pressure in scouting. And it is going to be sentries coming out behind that as well.
I think we're going to be seeing maybe some Prism play into the main base, dropping the force fields on the ramp, and then just trying to tear apart the main from the inside, or vice versa. Yeah. soO does have a position Overlord here in front of that natural, have a little bit of a look at what's going on. So and he's already building roaches as well.
Wow.
It looks like soO's. I mean, obviously, when you see this Warp Prism, you're like, okay, need to get some units out because I'm going to get hit soon. So, I mean, soO has what he needs to stop this from doing damage to him, but will he? Will he be in position?
I mean, the problem is he's going for an Observer after the Prism. Robo's great because it builds Immortals. He's got a ton of gateways. They're not ready just yet. He needs to see these Roaches.
Oh,
but the
I don't
Warp
think
Prism,
he doesn't see it.
Oh, I mean, he might just get overwhelmed at his natural. The Zerglings already forcing that shield battery down. The Adept there, you need to let that shield battery finish as Zest. He needs valuable seconds. He needs time. This is an all-in attack. Only 25 drones behind this for soO.
Yeah, this one needs to do damage. Zest desperately trying to get this Immortal out. Gonna have to dump some Kronos in there. The door's open and some Lings get in. If he can grab this Sentry, be a nice pick off, but he doesn't quite get it. He's also gonna start dropping those Biles. Of course, the Biles break the force fields. Recall from Zest to bring the Prism back home and try and hold on. The Sentry's getting targeted down, but nice pick up there from Zest. Saving these Sentries for now, elongating their life as much as he can. Force fields being dropped, but this Ravager from soO just consistently breaks them down.
Very nice force fields, though, buying time. The Immortal gets down here, and that's what you need. You've got to hold that choke point against the Lings. Shield batteries beginning to finish. Zest here, so far with a fantastic hold. Those early sentries, their utility has been incredible.
These Lings are starting to find a lot of purchase pick. The probes are all dying in the natural. Yes, soO is all in, but he's still not being cleaned up. Oh, Zest with the Prism Micro, though. The Immortal's still alive. Oh, actually,
those
nice
four Zealots. The four Zealots in the middle took down so many Lings, but it's not over yet. soO continuing to rally in. One Immortal and a Warp Prism. There's another Shield Battery finishing up, and a great Bile landing right on top of that Zealot. The main base is open.
And there's no shield battery up here. There is an Immortal popping out, though. Guns down that Ravager immediately. The Links around on that Immortal and doing tons of damage. The Probe's also coming up the line to help. soO is just holding that C button, setting them across the map and trying to end this game right here, right now.
Yeah, Zest just continuing to warp in Zealots. They are the best raw damage unit here for him to continue fighting. Picking up those Immortals whenever they're weak. The Immortals continuing to do damage here. They hold on. Zergling's going to go into the main base, looking for more probe kills. They desperately need to damage Zest. He's got 2 Immortals and a Warp Prism out. Every probe kill is so important, because if soO has to defend, guess what? 2 Immortals and a Warp Prism are going to give him an absolute nightmare in the next few minutes of this game.
Yeah, what are you going to do against that? He only has 2 Queens. What are you going to do with that? You can't stop these Immortals and this Warp Prism. soO is droning behind this, feeling like he just doesn't have the steam to continue this aggression. He does have a ball of Links, and the natural is open. Force field from Zest. No!
Oh!
It looks like he stopped the majority of the Lings at least.
Oh my gosh. Disaster averted. He wasn't watching. Did not think there was any more units on the way for soO, but the Immortal drop coming across the map. A couple of Roaches, a couple of Queens. Yeah, that's not going to deal with it. The Lings need to be here to stay on top of these Immortals, because they will annihilate Roaches, drones, and individual Queens.
Certainly will. Zest actually not finding a whole lot of damage. The Lings here are definitely hard to deal with just Immortals. Zest is getting another, or rather soO is getting another Queen here at this 3rd hatchery to get those extra injects down. He is droning, trying to turn this into a game. Zest coming across the map, though. He's only got 22 probes. He stopped making probes completely.
Yeah, he didn't try to rebuild. He would be ahead in the economy game, but he's saying, no, I've got Immortals out, I've got Sentries, let's just go.
Well, I mean, his Overlord's going to get tickled to death, and while he is hitting these probes, it doesn't really matter, because can he stop this army is the big question here in Game 1.
Oh, 2 Zealots splitting off from the pack there.
Oopsie daisies.
They get isolated. Sloppy control there by Zest. He needs these units. The Zealot count especially is so important here against this swell of Zerglings.
And the Zerglings are going to be very important with dealing with those Immortals as well. The Zealots body blocking, keeping those Zerglings zoned away from these Immortals, which are doing sick damage to that 3rd base. The 3rd base looks like it's about to go down here. The Zest is going to stand, and soO decides the time is now. Biles going on top of those Sentries, and it looks like he actually connects very nicely with those Biles. soO, does he have the Ravagers and the Queen Cat to survive here? Can he hold on?
Oh, the Warp Prism, it's getting hit. Oh, an Immortal picks up into it and goes down with the Prism. Fantastic control by soO.
The clutch Bile there from soO, ending the attack of Zest. Beautiful hold. So close. Zest nearly had that one. Damn, what an action-packed Game 1.
Yeah, but I think Zest thought he was a little bit further behind there than he was. You know, we have the advantage of knowing that he was actually down maybe a handful of workers at the absolute most. He had the superior attack in the Warp Prism. He thought he could make it work with that counter-attack, but it wasn't the case. It ends up being the wrong decision, and soO, unfortunately, I think, giving up an opportunity to work his way back into that game. soO takes the 1-0 lead. Very nice play, and Zest starting off with an unfortunate loss to kick things off.
Yeah, so close though. Really, really neck and neck. That gives me a lot of actually getting more and more excited for the series now. I was already excited before the game's begun. After Game 1, now even more so, because it just seems like they're so closely matched.
Yeah, it's so fascinating as well, right? Just saying, you know what, short rush distance, let's just go. Surprising Roachling attack. It's such a surprising attack, you know? It was like 8 Roaches, a few Ravagers, a ton of Zerglings, and soO's known for his decisiveness, and he's already bringing it here to Zest. I mean, even if Zest had simply had an Immortal before the Observer and the Prism out, something like that would have made a big difference, but The gateways weren't quite ready. The biles breaking through the force fields allowed him to breach the defenses, and soO did find some nice damage, really got in Zest's face, and that's a great way to start off the psychological war of a best of 5. Show that you're not afraid to take risks, get in your opponent's face, and put him on the back foot from the get-go.
Yeah, just talking about the players individually, soO is more of an emotional player than Zest. Zest is a cold, calculating monster. soO wears his heart on his sleeve. We saw player shots of him, which production is doing a fantastic job of, by the way. Shout out to those guys. But we saw soO when Group D wasn't going as well. When he was 0-3, he was visibly devastated, starting to deflate like a balloon, it seemed like. He was just slumping into his chair. But Game 1's got to give him some confidence against this man. On the far right of Automaton, the blue Protoss. This is Zest!
And down here in the bottom left-hand side, in the red with an impressive Game 1 hold. Zerg player, give it up for soO.
Sounds like the crowd might be split here between soO and Zest fans. And that's cool to see. Be sure to beat up the person next to you if they don't like the same player. That's how sports works.
Maynard always inciting the best characters in amongst the crowd. I mean, to be fair, it's all passion, right?
It is.
When you tell your opponent that they didn't win the game, it's just their race is powerful. It's just the passion.
That's right.
Yeah, sure.
That's right. When you call them names, tell them to do unspeakable things to their mother. It's because you love StarCraft.
The logic of the ladder, of course, one of the most competitive games out there. It can bring out our best and worst qualities once in a while. I think today it's all best qualities, though. Only the most passionate fans down here in the building. And here on Automaton, you know, big, wide open map. One where Protoss players do struggle in certain scenarios. It's just weird. Sometimes you see a Nexus go down or a hatchery, and I was looking at it and I was like, it looked like it was misplaced for Zest, but I think I'm imagining things.
It's been some long days. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
This corner of it feels like the natural, when you're looking at it at this spawn, like at the far right spawn, it is a little weird, right?
Yeah. Yeah, just imagining things as per usual. Probe's going to come in behind, be as annoying as possible. Zest there trying to occupy some of the mineral patches. soO going for the fast third base. Once again, exact same build order. That's the beauty of that last attack, the Roach Zergling. It's not really the hardest hitting attack, but it looks exactly like a normal macro build. That's what makes it powerful. Zest doesn't know it's coming into the last possible second, so that's why I really enjoy soO going for that style. It does the exact same opening again. When you can have this style where it's like the same opening, but you've got many branches off it, and it's not until quite late where you actually show your hand, that's what I like to see. Zerg player who's capable of just kind of mixing it up, and would love to see just a straight up macro play here out of soO.
Well, so far so good on that regard, but of course, as we know, it can switch gears pretty quickly. Zest is switching gears from Game 1, not going for the Robo opening. It's going to be a Stargate opening, a bit more tried and true here, I guess more standard of an opening here against soO. And he is going to see that with the Overlord.
Yep. Wouldn't mind Phoenix. The 2 Stargate Phoenix play, something which, you know, Zest was a big proponent of bringing that back into the meta.
Specifically on this map too, right? Like, it's a very good map for Phoenix, I feel.
So many big spaces, yeah. You're always going to get in between the rallies. There's so many angles to hit the main base, like the spores can't cover it all. There's no really zoning out an edge of the map completely here because there's just so many other ways in. He's going to spot the Oracle first. Stalker, though, does take out the Overlord. And the advantage of this Stalker opening here is you don't need to build the Phoenix. Usually the Zerg only has 1 Overlord on your side of the map anyway. So whilst you don't have the utility of the Phoenix to lift up a Queen while your Oracle does damage, Phoenix is an expensive unit. A lot of players do prefer to skip out on that.
So at the moment, it looks like Zest isn't going to commit to the Stargate play. He's getting a Twilight Council right now. So while there may be a second Oracle, it looks like he might, you know, you can go a few paths here. Go into Resonating Glaives or go into like a charge and a robotics facility. There's a few different paths that Zest could go down here, and we are seeing the robotics facility path being taken. So very likely an Archon drop follow-up here for Zest.
Interestingly, no gases on Zest's natural, so maybe even one of the charge ones like you mentioned, because those gases still not down. There's a few different really cool builds you can do from here, so I'm going to have to keep our eyes. But yeah, at this point, there's not going to be enough gas for Archon, so Zest starts up charge, and I wonder how many gateways he's going to go. Like, because there's like 8 gates or 10 gates you can do, or it could just be a 4-gate Zealot poke, take a third base behind it, and go into a normal game. Already 5 gateways, going up to 6 total. So Zest here preparing for a very aggressive follow-up. He's cut probes for now, Maynard.
7-gate charge lot, man. This is a very popular build on the ladder against Zergs. You just overwhelm and kill, kill, kill. And let's see if Zest, or rather if soO reads this before it's too late. Obviously, if you're just stuck with Lings and Queens against charge lots, you are dead.
Yeah,
we're not seeing a Roach Warren just yet. We're seeing a Lair on the way here for soO.
Is he trying to go straight to Hydras, perhaps? It's getting to almost 5 minutes. He's just starting a Baneling Nest now. Yeah, he wants to play Hydra Bane. Fantastic style for the big open spaces on this map. But those Zealots are going to be hitting pretty damn soon. There's going to be a very narrow window to get out defensive Banelings. And that Zergling... Oh, I think it's missed it. I think it's missed it. Oh, the Zergling should see it, though.
Oh, my God. Just caught the edge of it, but was he looking at the minimap at the right time? That was just a split second. soO,
oh no,
he's making Lings, but it doesn't look like he's prepared.
That's a ton of workers that soO's already built. 55 drones and not a lot to defend them.
Right.
A lot of Zealots already coming in, warping in out of vision. soO does not know this is coming until right now.
Time to ride the Zealot wave. Here they come. They're going to splash upon the Zerg here. 4 Queens getting all together to try and hold on. The drones being pulled immediately. The Lings getting in front of the Queens to try and hold them at bay. But of course, as we know, Zealots are going to hack through these Lings quite fast here. The Prism taking a lot of damage from the Queens.
Whoa, another big Zealot warp in is huge. There's no Zerglings left on the ground. More of them starting to rally, and those Queens doing such a good job with the transfuses of tanking, adding in the damage that they can. The Zealots, though, reconsolidating. Look at this. Zerglings pulling back. They try to let the Queens tank on the north side, allowing the Zerglings to deal that damage on the south. Beautiful engagements here by soO. He's making the best of a terrible situation. Hydras are about to start spilling out, but they don't have any upgrades, Maynard.
They don't, but they're quite good against gateway units if they can get it all together. I can see soO holding this. The Hydra's starting to join in. Some of the Queens are starting to go down. The Lings are all gone. 7 drones have died here. soO can afford to lose some drones and still hold on.
This is very nice defense by soO, but he did not have the tools to absolutely crush it. He loses a lot of workers over the course of that. He's only ahead a few workers. But Zest, where is the transition? Well, there's nothing in that production tab. I feel like Zest is unsure what he wants to do with the next wave. Is he just going to warp in more Zealots? Yes, sentries and Zealots. What?
I don't know. That's not super good against Hydralisks, I think. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, you could trap the Hydras, right?
I guess, yeah.
If there's no Banelings, then you can kind of force them to fight. But it kind of it relies on you catching and surprising your opponent's army. No third base on the way. soO's Zergling is going to see that. He's going to go check the other third base.
A full energy Oracle, I feel like, could be very helpful in this.
He's warping in unupgraded Adepts as well. It's fascinating here, but there's Banelings on the ground. I think this is washed up against the rock that is soO. I don't think this is going to work out for Zest. He's got to make magic happen with these force fields.
Needs to be incredible force fields and pretty incredible engagements here, but with Banelings and Hydras, I just don't see it happening here for the Protoss. soO's being patient here, waiting for it to get a little bit deeper on that creep before he closes the jaws. Oh, big warp in here of Adepts here, not even utilizing more charge lots. I mean, I guess they have that range, maybe a bit better utilized with force fields, but I just don't know, Pig.
Yeah, they don't really have the raw damage output, though. The Banelings finding their way into the sentries and Zealots. Oh, my lord.
Yeah, I mean, this is... he gets some nice force fields on the right-hand side there. Does get a Queen pick-off, but there is still so much Zerg remaining.
Yeah, Busty Boys wanting to get to the center of those sentries. Oh, man. Ow, nice hot pickups here. Zest trying to hang on as best he can. Good charge on warp in.
Overextension. Get back on creep there, mate.
Oh, man. Did soO just overextend too far? He should be able to just make more Banelings and hang on. He does not need to go out and fight this. He's 3 base versus 2. He's up 7 workers. His Hydra movement speed upgrade is done, but not his range upgrade, which is probably the much more important upgrade on the defense like this. So soO there, he's got the maneuverability, but he needs the Banelings to make sure these Zealots can't connect with the Hydras.
So charge getting burnt here on these charge lots. They're wrapping around that hatchery and doing sick damage to it. Nice force field from Zest, actually. Oh, blocking a lot of those Zerglings and Banelings inside the mineral line. Is losing those sentries, though. I like this stasis ward. It could potentially be a game-ending maneuver here from Zest, being catch a big cluster of soO's army.
Zest needs to kill this third. At the very least, he needs crazy amounts of damage right now, but using the minerals and even pulling some drones into the fray. soO defending very well there. Finally, the Zealots are gone. The sentries are in the open, and that's it.
That's going to be it, guys. Those Hydras are getting on top of the Zealots. Stasis ward does connect, but just with a drone, and once this Prism is gone, Zest is gone. soO is going to be able to hold, and he can, I mean, maybe Zest could try and make a game out of it from here, but certainly a rough start.
That was such a cool follow-up. The sentries there. Zest realizing maybe with the power of force fields he had a way back into the game. Of course, we see it does not work out. soO too good with the Baneling speed and the Hydra tech. It's, I mean, honestly, it would have been insane if he managed to bust through Bane speed, Banelings, and Hydras on creep with a couple of sentries, Zealots, and unupgraded Adepts. We'd be bowing down to Zest and calling him the Lord and Savior of Protoss, because that would have been insane.
Prism showing itself off here to this one Zergling of soO, which is basically confirming with the other Zergling to the north that there is no third base. soO knows that Zest is still on to next side. So as far as his economy goes, while soO's isn't incredible, Zest's isn't incredible either. And soO's just been making units, knowing that Zest is going to pressure again with 2 bases worth of production.
Yep, we're going to see just a little bit of poking around. Zest realizing he can't defend a third base, so he's going to go and take a hidden one.
Yeah.
Not the most, I guess, yeah, it's pretty well hidden. It is probably one of the last places he's going to check on this map. So Zest here is saying, look, I've got to make a comeback. I need to hide an expansion, look for counter-attack pressure, be annoying with my Warp Prism.
I'm a real Zealot.
No, you aren't.
I love this Spore Crawler, by the way, from soO. Like, yes, the creep doesn't reach the edge of the main base because the main base is so huge, but still makes it a little bit harder for this Prism to dive in. Yeah, you see Zest is going to try here with a Prism worth of units. He's going to try and get another Warp in if he can, but soO is all over this in the main base. Third base, though, also getting hit by Zest. soO has units here as well. Good reads from soO, deflecting Zest on both fronts.
Yeah, Zest a big fan of the double prism. He does like doing these cute maneuvers. We've seen him doing this against Terran before with like 500 APM, where he's dropping Stalkers in 2 locations, and you're kind of watching it, and you're like, does this make sense? Like, because he'll be like killing like SCVs so slowly with him, but then you watch his first-person view, and he won't lose the prism, and over several minutes, he gets insane value with it.
If this third Nexus works out for Zest and he manages to get the probe count up a little bit more, I'm going to get really worried here for soO. What are you? Oh, okay. Looks like he's fully walled off the natural, or at least the Archon's a little bit too thick with 2 Cs to be able to fit out that natural wall in.
Yep, they're going to recall down there. That expansion has been spotted. We are going to swap to the double first-person view just to get an idea of how incredibly fast these players are. Multitasking all over the shop. You can see their hands just dancing across those keyboards.
Big attack from soO here at that Nexus. He sees it. Zest has got some charge lots to soak up those Banes, but I don't know if he can soak up enough. Oh, there's just way too much Zerg here. That third Nexus is in big trouble. The Archons are pretty fantastic against some Zerglings. Charge lots coming in to help out as well, but he's pushed all the way back in here. Hydras this time. They've got muscular augments. They've got groove spines. They're standing and fighting. The Lings are keeping the units of Zest away from these Hydras, which are outputting sick damage.
Yeah, nice engagement there by soO. Gigantic arc, superior army count. He did not drone up behind this. He knew that Zest didn't have a third base, and as soon as he took the third, soO was ready to pounce. Slaps it down, and already a very decisive scoreline. 2-0 lead for soO. Just one more game to close it out and secure his spot against Serral in the round of 8.
What a feeling for soO and Team Chivo, his new team here, watching from the sidelines as he just barely scrapes through Group D with a bit of skill and a bit of luck combined. And now here he is in match point in the round of 12, looking at that round of 8, where the money really starts to ramp up.
Yep, it's massive. Every step you go by now in this tournament, you are looking at many, many thousands of dollars more money, and of course, a chance at having your name immortalized by being drawn on the side of that trophy, etched in there. There's names on there as ancient as Johan Merlot on the side of that IEM trophy.
Yeah, all the way back to the original winner of Intel Extreme Masters. So the difference between 12th and 8th is $5,000. Pretty big jump there.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's actually just brutal. You know, and then from there it's a $15,000 jump, and then again and again it goes up and up and up. The games do get more and more impactful here, of course. You know, it was fascinating to see Zest play the style that he did in that last game, trying to come out with the charge lot attack. It almost did work out. soO was quite greedy, but it's funny how soO can often be caught, you know, building a few too many drones. You would think having not the right tech, no banelings ready, doesn't matter. Not a lot of the time with soO. He's just so good at his mechanics. He will get so much stuff out. The Queens held together on that ramp for such a long time against the Zealots. The Transfusers just absorbed so much damage. A great hold by soO against the initial charge lot attack.
Oh, Zest against the ropes here in this best of 5, finding his Zerg opponent on match point. Never a comfortable situation. He'll need to win 3 maps in a row to find his way into the round of 8. Can he do it? Katowice, if you're a fan of Protoss, lend this man your energy. In the blue in the top left here of King's Cove, it is Zest!
And down here in the bottom right-hand side of King's Cove, the red Zerg player, representing Chivo, 1 game away from getting to the quarterfinals. He is soO.
Both players have made so much money with very successful careers. Zest has unfortunately done something that soO has not done, and that is become a champion of GSL. Of course, that was a long time ago, but soO has won so much money from just an incredibly consistent career, always finding his way deep into these big money tournaments.
Yeah, and
often the grand final.
Exactly. And I mean, I always say it, up until the finals, I kind of feel like soO has a lot of anti-fans out there, people who kind of dislike watching soO play a little bit because he makes their favorite players look a little bit bad sometimes. He's so decisive, so powerful with his playstyle, so confident and unafraid to take risks, whether that be pushing his work account a bit higher than normal or simply going for a very all-in attack like in Game 1 with the Roach Ravager Zergling Bust. These are the sort of things that often lead to soO just crushing through the opposition. It's why he's made it to so many grand finals, and it is why Zest finds himself down 0-2 here in this series. And it's something which often builds upon itself in his opponent's minds. They feel like if they give soO even the tiniest edge, he will run away with the game. Zest has to stay clear and confident here, and he needs to bring something fresh to the table.
Well, soO not bringing any freshness just yet. Still that sub-2-minute third hatchery. All signs of macro play. Oh, Zest is meant to be a little bit more annoying here. There we go. That worker freak out, of course, for you guys at home. This is just the players using their extra spare APM in the early stages to just deny mining from a mineral patch. No huge deal, but it does stack up a little bit, especially when both players are so closely matched.
And this is going to be the Stargate opening once more here for Zest. That Adept on the way, coming across the map. The probe just going to go and hang around a little bit, make sure there's no Zerglings trying to sneak across to the Protoss side. And very curious to see how things come out. It is going to be a Stalker, so going to be an Oracle to start things out. Chrono Boost on that Stalker as well, and the probe production continuing. Very standard setup here once again for soO. So the exact same opening, at least for the first 3 minutes every single game. And it's from here where we did see in Game 1 a Roach Warren go down very early and a ton of units come out. But it looks like more standard opening, lots of Queens on the way this time.
Yeah, and when you see that Stargate, you gotta wonder, like, do I want to do that? Because the Oracles, if there are multiple Oracles, they can actually do surprisingly well against Ravagers and Lings flooding across the map. soO decided to do that after he saw a Warp Prism from Zest in game number 1.
Yeah, the Oracle is on its way now, and creep starting to spread out very quickly on this map. Another Overlord on the north side of the map as well has been working its way across. So despite the first Overlord going down, there will be another Overlord in relative proximity of the Protoss' base, in case he needs to spot for any cheeky worms later on.
Yeah, I haven't seen any worms in the series so far. Just something that I would have thought, you know, when I look at soO as a player, like, that seems like something to be right up his alley, that kind of meta.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure if soO reads the patch notes, to be honest. I feel like he plays the same solid styles, like just tons of mid-game aggression, ability to slap down a lot of pushes. He really doesn't seem to adjust that much to the patches, and it's because he doesn't need to. He's so confident what he does. His Oracle defense, by the way, has been perfect. Every single game, this Oracle comes in, and it just gets wounded, doesn't even get a chance to turn on its laser beam. This time, however, there is a second Oracle that's going to join up with it. So once the shields are regenerated, Zest will be diving in, looking for a few drone kills, probably on the third base, and we are seeing, I believe, much faster gases on the natural for Zest, yes. So it's going to be the Archon drop variation this time around.
Yeah, extra gas for those cotton balls of death. We got the double Oracle coming in here, finding this first bit of drone damage, finding 3 and getting out with both their lives. Nice little damage there from Zest.
And of course, these Oracles need to stay alive, right? They're the map vision for Protoss throughout the game, the detection against lurkers, the ability to track Hydra Bane armies on the map, and all that sort of stuff. Zest dropping the Templar Archives. His Oracles rotating, looking for either creep tumors or some more drones to pick off.
It's usually a charge follow-up here of the Archon drop variety instead of the Cloak Boys. I actually kind of like this version a little bit more because of how quickly you get charged with it. You know, you get that really scary charge load army up, usually with some +1 attack upgrades later on. They are so deadly dealing with Roaches, Lings, and Hydras, actually, which is a lot of what Zerg has in the early stages. Speaking of which, Hydra Den being dropped, Baneley Nest being dropped back at home for soO, Ling, Bane, Hydra. It is a composition that feels as old as time at this point.
Yeah, Hydra Bane is fantastic, especially if you can get away with going straight up to it just off the back of Zergling Queen. soO did it in the last game, defended the attack that was meant to punish that sort of build-up. And here he's even more confidently launching into this Hydra style. Going straight for the Groove Spines this time around, so the Hydra range rather than the movement speed. And here comes that first Archon drop straight on into the third base.
Yeah, trying to get some drone damage here. Does find one on the edge. Getting a Queen would be fantastic as well. The Lings are keeping the Archons at bay, but they are Lings. Dealing with Archons is quite tough when that's all you have. The Queen's diving for that Warp Prism. One getting a little bit far out. Where's their Transfusion? There it is. Gotta keep your sisters alive.
That Prism so low. Gonna have to back out, wait for those shields to regenerate. But a few Zergling kills, not bad. The Oracles come in from the other side. Another 2 workers do go down. The Revelation, and they pull back. And is aware of the Hydralisk tech on the field. The question here for Zest is how quickly do you go up to Storm? Chrono boosting Immortals, getting charge, +1, more gateways. These are all important things, but no probes on the way, Maynard. Storm is never happening in this game. It's a big push. That's what Zest's going to go for here. He starts a few probes up behind this. As I say that, invoking my ability as a caster to make the player do the exact opposite of what I'm saying.
Production in my ear has told me that they're grabbing online broadcaster 69 from his bedroom to replace Pig. Hopefully he gets here before the third game ends. We'll just have Pig stand in until it does. Storm has begun here for Zest.
Yeah, a little bit slow probing up the third. I think it's just because Zest is respecting the threat of an early Hydra Bane attack, and that makes perfect sense because soO's on 51 workers. And remember the old meme, guys. You can go for 85 drone Hydra Baneling, and yeah, you're a pretty smart Zerg. But you know what's even smarter? If you do it off 50 drones. Tons of Hydra Baneling launching in.
Oh, God. Zest trying to save it, pulling it back. These Hydras don't look like they have muscular organs just yet, but they are pressing the issue with these Banelings looking for those big connections. The Zealots! Oh, the High Templar would be a lovely target here.
They're too clumped up! Oh no! The Warp Prism trying to save some of these units, but those Banelings just getting on top of it right before charge finishes. Oh, a brutal timing attack here from soO.
He is just rolling through Zest in this game. And while Storm is done, there's just not enough Storms to make a difference, I feel. soO is just barreling through this third base. Zest cannot be stopped. He's lost 14 probes. He's not doing enough damage on the other side of the map against the Zerg. I think this might just be curtains right here. GG! soO getting a 3-0. Oh man, soO did play well today. You know what? I see a lot of people blaming soO's win on this or that, but it really comes down to that. He's just playing well as he usually does. He's making a lot of good decisions that he usually does. Even compared to this year at BlizzCon, he could be choking or jet-lagged or whatever, but instead he is simply up to his usual standard. So if anyone wants to cry, Ember, these games are not the hill to die on. His opponents played well, and soO played better. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, an interview with soO.